Scatter sunshine shadows before you go, dodge the feet of the wind, and on the fingers of my hand, spill your lips if you don't mind. Ask for the way of the water, pull up the shroud of woods, and in my fingers twine yours, fingers that offer an understanding. Let go half the sky and give up all the earth. Of my hands and of yours, let a tight clasp linger. This poem that depicts the heady experience of love through vast nature imagery is written by P S Rege and features in his collection of poetry titled Dusara Pakshi or the Other Bird. A bold and frank expression of the man-woman love and conveying subtle feelings through unexpected word constructs instead of using the cliched imagery are the characteristics of Rege's poetry. Today, in the 64th episode of Granthyatra, we are going to read his book Dusara Pakshi. P S Rege was born in the year 1910 at a village called Mitbhav in Ratnagiri district. After obtaining degrees in commerce from Mumbai University and London University, he taught in various colleges in Maharashtra and Goa. Later, he became the principal in Mumbai's Elphinstone College and in 1970 retired from there. In the field of literature, Rege is well known both as a writer and as a poet. In the 52nd episode of Granthyatra, we had discussed his novel Savitri. In addition, he wrote classic and meaningful novels such as Avalokita, Matruka, and Renu. Following the publication of his poetry collection Practice and Other Poems, he published several other collections such as Blossom, Swing, Gandharekha, Maiden of Plenty, and Lovelorn. The collection of his critical essays is called Chandasi. His poetry collection Dusara Pakshi was published in 1966. Rege tried to bring some of the characteristics of Western poetry into Marathi. He was smitten by the love poems of Italian poets and the intensely pleasing feelings depicted in them. Yet, the inspiration of Rege's own poetry, the world of experiences that it depicts, its imagery, its view, and its choice of words are totally independent and unique. The love that blossoms through Rege's poetry is unbridled and fascinating. It takes pleasure in physical love, and yet it is pure and transparent. One sigh, one hand, one mouth, one you, one me. This is how he conveys the essence of a couple's love through his poetry. He doesn't place this love in the confines of any social norms, morality, or tradition. In one of his poems, he says, I do not ask her to sing, nor do I give her hands the security of lightning. I do not play the bells of words on her feet. I only ask for the ways of my mind in her smiling, dancing Hungarian eyes. The love that reveals through his poetry is deep and enigmatic. Even when accepting the inevitability of parting, it remains loyal. Her lips still carry a scar. Her lips still carry a scar and a yearning call of rainbirds in the circles of her eyes. Or, parting in the meeting, a tight embrace in the parting, in the meeting far away, the faraway words. Through lines such as these, he reaches the core of an experience. What we find here is pure feeling. Rege's poetry has the skill to convey the essence of an experience to the readers through a play of words, but without overshadowing it with the weight of language. Rege's poetry is enamored by the force of creativity and its personification in the woman's body. Even the dry, whimsical moon dawns on his person the sprouting signs of spring. Lines such as these give away his enchantment with the force of creativity. The minimal world in the peeled sanctum of the mountain and the rising shower of sunshine outside. How effortlessly Rege describes the mysterious elegance in the union of man and woman through nature imagery such as this. Many of his poems display a play of color sensations, color and shapes, or shadow and light. The colors do not appear in his poems as static descriptions of nature, but he conveys subtle feelings that cannot be easily captured in words through color imagery. A little more crimson than the rising sun, having slight shades of brown, occasional frills of yellow unfurled, carries this piece of stone. Or the endless orange sheen on the sparse lentil crop, the distinct carved sacred dome of the adjacent mango tree, all flowers, and somewhere in between the imagined appearance of the faraway blue lake. Lines such as these celebrate the joy of the passion for a woman's body. They delight the readers with its suggestiveness. Although his poetry is famous for intensely revolving around the woman's physical appearance, Dusara Pakshi also carries several contemplative and philosophical poems. He especially ruminates about existentialism and the futility of human life. Whatever a man experiences or achieves in life, all humans are on the same platform after death. In his poem Coquettish Earth, he conveys to the readers that end is certain for every person. Alluding to tree leaves, he says, "When the wind blows with courage all of a sudden, their former practiced colors all turn the same shade. They could belong to any tree and fall anywhere in the dirt. That is why the sky owns a studded roof, for us again the coquettish earth." At times, Rege's poetry shines a light on the fears spreading through the society, on the forces that stifle people's freedoms. Supporting the voices that oppose these forces, he says, "Sprouting paths, dodging the guards, say abruptly, even to the wind, flow, oh flow." In another poem, he tells his friends, "Treasure the acquaintance beyond the thorns. Treasure the acquaintance beyond the thorns, even if they make a big noise. Keep the novelty, but show not, even when losers complain a while." Rege also gave voice to the pains of the oppressed and victims of torture. In a poem, he says, "Eyes of the refugees are frozen through and through. Their rims have compelling sharpness of the red sky. When my mind is swallowed by their one word, I too turn into one of their eyes." Like his love poetry, Rege uses nature imagery in his social poems too and achieves the desired impact. In a poem inspired by Yuri Gagarin's successful journey into the outer space, he says, "The sky becomes a pillow. The sky becomes a pillow, arms a source of lightning, turn Herculean. The sky becomes a pillow." Rege's poetry is reticent. In 4 to 6 lines, he can convey a depth of meaning. Look at this example. In youth, man indulges in a lot of things with great enthusiasm and interest. But even in his late years, he continues to indulge in the same things out of habit or confusion, although those things may have lost their relevance. When expressing this thought, Rege writes, "I kindled a fire in winter, I soaked the fragrant grass in summer and waited for evenings." I kindled a fire in winter, I soaked the fragrant grass in summer and waited for evenings. After the winter and summer both stopped working, I'll keep guarding the fire alone and soak the fragrant grass. Even in the absence of any allegory or similes, these lines seem to express all the loneliness of the old age and the stubborn effort to keep death away. In his book of critical essays, Chandasi, Rege has said that the beauty of a work of art lies in its form and its greatness lies in how richly it depicts life. Both these characteristics apply soundly to Rege's poetry. The form of his peculiar and nonconformist poetry is attractive and its content is touched by sublimity. Today we have with us Professor Vanada Bokil Kulkarni, who will tell us more about Rege's poetry that can seem incomprehensible in its first reading, but the sweetness of whose meaningful lines gradually seeps in.
नमस्कार, मी वंदना बोकील कुलकर्णी. आत्ता अर्चना मॅडमनी सांगितलं तसं दुसरा पक्षी या पुशी रेग्यांच्या कविता संग्रहामधल्या काही कवितांमध्ये सामाजिक आशय प्रकटला आहे हे खरं, पण एकूणातच रेग्यांची कविता जर आपण सगळी नजरेसमोर ठेवली तर असं लक्षात येतं की ती अत्यंत आत्मनिष्ठ अशी भावकविता आहे. आणि या कवितेच्या गाभ्यामध्ये आहे रतिभाव, अगदी घमघमणारा रतिभाव. आणि या रतिभावाच्या केंद्रस्थानी अर्थातच अत्यंत चैतन्यमय, लसलसतं आणि ताजं असं स्त्रीरूप आहे. हे स्त्रीरूप आदिम स्त्रीसत्वाचं असं एक रूप आहे असं आपल्या लक्षात येतं, पण तरीही ते अनघड किंवा रांगडं नाही आहे, तर ते नागर आहे, सिव्हिलाइज्ड आहे, संस्कारित आहे. आणि रेग्यांच्या या कविमनातली जी स्त्री आहे ती रतिक्रीडेत अत्यंत चतुर आहे. ती स्वतः त्याचा आनंद घेते, त्यामध्ये रमते आणि त्यालाही त्याच्यामध्ये ती रमवते असं लक्षात येतं. कारण ती चैतन्यशील आहे, गतिशील आहे आणि अत्यंत जीवनोत्सुक अशी ती स्त्री आहे. आणि म्हणूनच भरहर्षे भोगविणारी अशी ती आहे. यातला हा भरहर्षे हा शब्द मला अतिशय महत्त्वाचा वाटतो, कारण ही आनंदाची देवाणघेवाण आहे. इथे कुठल्याही प्रकारची सक्ती नाही आहे. शिवाय जेव्हा ती भरहर्षे भोगवते असं कवी म्हणतो त्यावेळेला तो तिच्या आनंदाची कदर करतो, आदर करतो, हेही आपल्या लक्षात येतं आणि ते फार महत्त्वाचं आहे असं वाटतं. दुसरी गोष्ट अशी आहे की ही जी स्त्री आहे ही अत्यंत निर्मळ आहे, मोकळी आहे आणि कशाचीही पुटं तिच्यावर चढलेली नाही आहेत, ना समाज संकेतांची ना रूढींची. ती लाजबावरी आहे खरी, पण त्यामागे भय नाही आहे. ती आरपार स्वच्छ आणि मोकळी अशी स्त्री आहे. स्वतःच्या देहभावाशी, त्याच्यामधल्या भाव उर्मींशी ती अत्यंत प्रामाणिक आहे, निखळ आहे, अस्सल आहे आणि मुख्य म्हणजे न नैतिक आहे. आश्चर्यकारकरित्या ती अतिशय मुक्त आहे. ती म्हणूनच रंगरेषा, छायाप्रकाश किंवा आकार आणि अवकाश यांचा अत्यंत निगूढ खेळ रेग्यांची भाषा मांडते. त्याविषयी देखील आत्ता अर्चना मॅडम बोलल्या आपल्याशी. या भाषेमधून अत्यंत सूक्ष्मातली सूक्ष्म अशी अनुभवाची छटासुद्धा त्यामुळेच रेगे आपल्या कवितेमध्ये प्रकट करू शकतात. या कवीच्या या निरभ्र सौंदर्यदृष्टीचं अवगुंठन त्याच्या भाषेने लिहिलेलं आहे असं लक्षात येतं. आणि म्हणूनच स्त्रीच्या, स्त्रीरूपाच्या सगळ्या अवघ्या रंगरेषा ही कविता आपल्यामध्ये सामावून घेते आणि शब्दामध्ये मांडते आणि ते अत्यंत सूचकतेने करते. आणि म्हणूनच ती आपल्याला कलात्मकतेचा अवर्णनीय असा आनंद देते. निव्वळ प्रकृतीचं, पुरुषाचं, प्रकृती आणि पुरुष या नात्याचं एकलक्षी असं गूढ उकळण्याचा प्रयत्न रेग्यांनी सातत्याने केला. त्यामुळे स्वाभाविकच कधीकधी ही स्त्री आपल्या आकलनाच्या थोडी पल्याड आहे असं आपल्याला वाटतं खरं, पण रेग्यांच्या भाषेचं जसं मोहन आपल्यावरती पडतं तसंच ही भाषा जे उखाणे घालते त्याचंही पडतं आणि हे उखाणे सोडवण्यामध्ये रसिक मनाला आनंद मिळतो असंही आपल्या लक्षात येतं. त्यामुळे रेग्यांची कविता पुन्हा पुन्हा वाचावी, समजून घ्यावी, एकांतात वाचावी आणि मनाशी समजावून घ्यावी अशा प्रकारची कविता आहे असं मला वाटतं. धन्यवाद.
Rege's poetry conveys a lot through new ways of syntax, by deconstructing words, and even through the unarticulated spaces between the lines. His poetry engages us like the mind of a close friend that we can understand even without entering into a dialogue. I go round and turn into a circle. Ice, tree, water, sky, their ring revolves in circle. My tree resides in temple, its branches are with me. Even its base has lost its shade, it now laments to me. I go round and turn into a circle. Ice, tree, water, sky, something's lost, something lasts. I encourage you to read P S Rege's poetry that makes the readers contemplate on their existence through lines such as these. His poetry has been translated into English, German, Danish, Spanish, and Chinese languages. In the next episode of Granthyatra, we will meet on a lane in the forest Until then, keep reading.